Hello, everyone. I'm Matt Clark, research analyst for Money Markets, and joining me as he does each and every week from a secluded location inside of a bunker beneath some apartment building in a random location is Greens on Fortune's coach, Charles Sizemore. I kid. He's actually not in a bunker. He's in an office, so he's not hiding out. But it is time for Investing with Charles. Charles, I'm going to jump right into it today. We've got a lot of ground to cover. And a lot of people, if you follow the market at all, if you're investing at all, the market is just not in a good place right now. We've seen ups, we've seen downs. Earlier in the week, we saw a nice bounce up, but low volume in that trading. So that kind of these are not uncommon when we see corrections and moves into bear market with broader indices like the S&P 500, where you see a nice run up, but the volume is really, really low. So, which we've seen. So it is possible that we are going to enter into a bear market in the S&P. We really don't know. NASDAQ is already there. And the Dow is close. So, but the thing is
a
here,
bear market in all but name. Let's be clear. We may not technically be there, but if it looks like a bear market and smells like a bear market, it's a bear market.
It is. But the thing here is that while there's a lot of panic out there, investors are just scrambling, trying to figure out, okay, where do I put my money? What do I do with my portfolio? We get questions like this all the time with Money Markets and with Greens on Fortunes. These questions come to our email inbox all the time. What do I do? Well, the thing is this, is that, bear markets provide buying opportunity. And let me explain what I mean that. I don't mean buying on the dip. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is that, this is not the first time this has happened. We have seen market drops, at least 3 of them in the last 5 years. We saw 2020, 2018, 2016, dating all the way back to the beginning of the market. We've seen markets that go up and they come down just as quickly, and mass panic ensues. But we also see something else. When we're in a bear market, it presents an opportunity, and you have to know how to spot it. And what I mean by that is that, and I wrote about this on Money Markets on Tuesday, and we've covered ground like this before. You have to spot where what we call a mega trend is. We're very big on mega trends here with Money Markets and with Greens on Fortunes. We like to spot these things. We like to look for profits where no one else is looking. These mega trends that show something big is either in the midst of happening, is on the cusp of happening, or is already in place and is starting to skyrocket and is going to push companies involved in this mega trend up higher. For example,
powerful, unstoppable trend. It is in motion. Nothing's going to stop it.
Exactly. What I wrote about earlier this week was NVIDIA. NVIDIA makes graphic processing units, GPUs, and these are very instrumental, not just in video games, but that's kind of where they got their start. But now they've become used in AI, in data center processing, in all these types of new advanced technologies. And what we saw is after tech took a big hit in the dot-com bubble, traded relatively flat into 2016, the market suddenly exploded in 2016 and went even higher as we got into 2020, 2021. And what I use as an example with Moderna, not with Moderna, but with NVIDIA was 2016 to 2018, the stock jumped 4,500%. So, and this is coming out of what would have been a bear market for tech in the midst of the dot-com bubble. An ugly one that saw companies fold, people unemployed. It was bad. But again, when you have something bad like this, you always have to look for where the opportunities are for potential for growth, and that's what I want to talk about today. Today, like I said, we're very big on mega trends. We like to look for trends that no one else is really seeing, but yet we see as having a possible balloon effect, where it starts off small and then is going to just expand rapidly. We've seen it before. History shows that these things happen all the time, especially coming out of a bear market, and I think we're going to see it again. And so what I want to point to today is something that Adam O'Dell, our chief investment strategist, has talked about, you've talked about, I've talked about, and that is genomics. Genomics is basically studying the human genome, and it's used for all sorts of things to collect data on
DNA-based medicine.
DNA-based medicine, exactly. It's sequencing to find new therapies, to find cures for what would otherwise be considered incurable diseases. And it also has evolved into data, storing data in genomes, things like that. It is a massive mega trend that I think is just getting underway. And let me tell you why. In 2017, I'm going to pull up a chart here. In 2017, The global next generation sequencing and clinical genomics market size was only about $836 million. That's globally. So globally, companies around the world, in the NGS and clinical genomics market, they're only generating about $836 million. Now, by 2028, according to forward projections, that market size is expected to grow to $5.8 billion. By 2028, it's going to grow 604% from 2017 to 2028. That is huge. And if that is not the definition of a megatrend, I don't know what is, but it's that type of thing that we like to look at, is a trend that starts off relatively small in its infancy, but that we see forward projections that are going to blow this thing up in a huge way. So genomics is definitely something that we are bullish on. It's a mega trend that we follow time and time again. We've talked about it in Greens on Fortunes. We've talked about it in Money in Markets. And Charles, this is what I want to talk about today, and how genomics could be one of those mega trends that fuel stocks coming out of this down market.
Yeah, no, for sure. Now, if you think about, just going back to the megatrend itself, where are these billions of dollars going? Like, what is this even, like, what are we even talking about here? Think about how many babies are born every year, and think about how every parent wants to know ahead of time, is my baby at risk? Do I need to be aware of anything? Think of the potential for prenatal genetic testing. Think of the potential for postnatal, infant genetic testing. Like, just that little sliver of the market alone is huge. Think about every disease that has, well, really every disease, whether it's bacterial, whether it's viral, whether it's actually something like cancer, where I think the word is actually mutagenic, and maybe misusing the word there, but all of these have a genetic component. And if you can attack the disease at a genetic level and neutralize it, that's a game changer. Like, you have essentially rewritten the rules of medicine at that point. And as you alluded to earlier, it's not just medicine. I mean, medicine by itself, if the genomic story ended with medicine, that by itself would be life-changing, right? But it doesn't stop there. Genomics is going to basically throw computing out the window as we know it. We're sort of reaching the end, for the geeks out there, the tech geeks out there. It might be familiar with Moore's Law. Moore's Law was the idea that the amount of data and the amount of processing power on a chip doubles. What is it, every 18 months or something like that?
Every 18 months.
Yeah. That's, we're basically kind of reaching the end of that. We're kind of reaching the end of current technologies' ability to grow. Like the microchip as we know it, we're sort of reaching the end of the line on what that's capable of doing. Well, genomics has created this entire new frontier of bioengineering, where you can actually store data in DNA. I'm not smart enough to tell you how that works, but yes, rather than having a hard drive, you essentially have a DNA-based hard drive that stores data, and you can add several zeros to the end of how many bytes that holds, or how many gigabytes, terabytes. What comes after a terabyte?
I don't know off the top of my head. I know it, but I don't know it.
Anyway, whatever that rather large number is, DNA-based storage allows us to get there. So, I mean, you could go on and on about the different applications of this. Needless to say, it's huge.
Yeah, I think we're just on the cusp of this, and we saw this starting to develop around 2019, 2018. When I first talked about the projections of clinical genomics, 2018 was right around when we started to see this come on the rise. And what I want to focus on is one stock in particular, and there's a reason for that, because I want to show how it has grown and how you can spot the megatrend and what that megatrend can do to a stock, coming out of a lower time. So 2018, 2019, genomics just kind of really getting into a feel of things. We're just starting to see some developments in genomics. It's not really one of those talked about markets. It's not generating a lot of headline, not generating a lot of buzz. Really, no one's really talking about it. But then we see it explode at the beginning of 2020. So it was already a trend moving forward. And then in 2020, with the coronavirus, with COVID-19.
What happened at the beginning of 2020? Obviously, exactly. We had the biggest kind of real world test case for genomics-based medicine. And that was, of course, with the mRNA vaccines. Now, mRNA, that's actually the ticker symbol of Moderna. So Moderna was in the, swimming in this pool long before anybody had ever heard of the COVID-19 vaccines. The COVID-19 vaccines created this amazing, real-time, sense of urgency here to roll out this technology. This technology had been being developed for years, and then the pandemic hits and it creates this opportunity to put it into action very quickly. And so this was the first real kind of proof of concept of, using mRNA technology in the wild. And by all accounts, it was a rip-roaring success. Obviously, the virus has since mutated. The vaccines have lost some of their potency because of those mutations. But you also have, now that you have this formula in place, it's very easy to tweak the production, and you come out with a new vaccine next week, subject to safety testing and whatnot. But here's, and that's obviously what caused Moderna's stock price to absolutely just rip your face off in 2020. The stock soared because all of a sudden the viability of their technology became obvious to the world.
And genomics, the study of genome sequencing, the reason why it became so big in 2020 is because using that kind of technology, that kind of biopharma tech, allowed companies like Moderna to really accelerate how they were developing vaccines for COVID-19. So we already, basically, in small terms, what we had is we had a mega trend that was in development with genomics. And then we had gasoline poured on that fire with COVID-19. Now, to illustrate how Moderna moved along with similar, biopharma stocks, from its low during the Corona crash in February of 2020 to August of 2021, so roughly about a month and a half, Moderna stock ripped 1,700% higher. And it traded nearly double its 50-day simple moving average and outperformed the specific biopharma sector, which was only up about 90%. So Moderna just exploded in a year and a half, in a very short amount of time, and all thanks to the fuel dumped on the genomics fire that we were already seeing in terms of that megatrend. So to illustrate, we had a megatrend of genomics, and not every megatrend will have an accelerator. Some do, some don't. The accelerator in this case, however, was COVID-19. Unfortunately, this is not something you'd like to see, but it's just kind of the nature of how things are. So you have the accelerator of COVID-19 and the rush to develop vaccines. This just moved Moderna and similar stocks just astronomically higher. So the point here is that coming out of the Corona crash of 2020, where we saw, I think the Dow dropped 28%. In a short period of time, the S&P, the NASDAQ, all these major indices dropped, in a huge way very quickly in March of 2020. Coming out of that, this mega trend sparked a huge bump up in genomic stocks. And that's exactly what we saw with Moderna. It's exactly what we saw with NVIDIA in after following the tech crash and following tech sideways trading. Then we saw AI explode in 2016 and 2018, and that stock ripped off 45%, 4,500% higher. So again, the bottom line here is that
let's have some more fun with this before we get to that bottom line.
Sure.
Let's have some more fun with this. So let's say you'd been researching Moderna and you had no idea that COVID-19 was about to happen. Let's say you had been looking at Moderna's other drugs in the pipeline, which are still there, I might add. They have treatments, genetic-based treatments for cancer. Now, right now, obviously, cancer is, there are treatments, there's chemotherapy, there's radiation, there's surgery, cutting out the tumors. There's various treatments for cancer, none of which are really all that great. They're very difficult to go through. The treatments themselves wreck your body. It kind of becomes an exercise in killing the cancer before you get killed yourself the treatment is aiming to kill the cancer before it kills you, right? It's not ideal. With genetic-based medicine attacking the cancer, that's potentially a game changer. So that's one of the other things Moderna is working on. They also have treatments for HIV. So if you had been watching Moderna, you might have wanted to invest in this stock based on these other treatments they had. And then the pandemic, actually, let me back up even further. So, the pandemic killed 1 million Americans, which is a huge number. And we'll never know how many people the pandemic killed overseas because, the counting wasn't as good. And it's really an unknowable number at this point. But that number is probably, well in excess of 10 million. Now, cancer every year kills about 10 million people. And to put that in kind of put that as a point of reference, that's approximately the size of the state of Michigan. The equivalent of the entire state of Michigan dies every year from cancer. So if you'd been looking at those trends and seeing the potential for that better mousetrap, somebody making a drug that could potentially revolutionize cancer treatment, that would have been attractive then. And then, of course, the pandemic comes along and creates this other catalyst that no one really saw coming. But kind of the takeaway there is, like, the harder you work, the luckier you get, right? So if you had done the homework and you had found these powerful trends in place and you'd invested based on that, the pandemic would have created this great catalyst that no one saw coming. But you didn't buy the stock ahead of time because of the pandemic. You bought it because of the other stuff. The pandemic just kind of became that big catalyst.
And just to kind of put a bow on all that. Obviously we talked about how COVID has mutated and there's additional therapies that are being worked on to, as it progresses, the view for therapy also, advances. But in terms of just Moderna, in the first quarter of 2022. So right now you kind of have to factor out that, whatever bump up they had from, COVID-19 vaccines has probably been priced in, probably, has been kind of leveled out. However, the gross profit margin for Moderna, 83.2% in the first quarter of 2022. So this company is still making money, and they're doing it based on just exactly what you said, by looking at other therapies for other life-threatening illnesses like cancer, like HIV, and other chronic diseases. Anything a wide range of things. Basically, what these companies are doing are they're looking for faster, more efficient, and safer ways to, if not cure, at least treat the symptoms of these illnesses. And they're trying to do it in a way that, and DNA sequencing allows them not only to do it more efficiently by really zeroing in on how these debilitating diseases are built, but also specific to the individual patients. What are they're using their DNA to say, okay, here is the blueprint of the person, here is the blueprint of the disease. Now let's use those two things and develop a blueprint to cure one without adversely affecting the other.
Yeah, a tailor-made medicine, which is a remarkable concept. Like, we are not far from the point where these guys will be able to tailor-make a drug for you personally. This is your shot. Yeah, that is, it's a bit mind-boggling, actually.
It is. I mean, and that's another reason why it makes it into a mega trend. It's not something that we can easily wrap our heads around. It's not something that is easily defined. It is very complex, but it's a lot of times these complex, like AI, like electric vehicles. If you look back at what has sparked major stock advances, whether out of a bear market or not, these concepts didn't start out as being something that was very easy to explain. These are all very difficult concepts to try to understand in their infancy. Once they developed out, it became, okay, I got it. Now I understand what it is. And I think genomics is exactly along those same lines. But again, all this circles back to the fact that even though we are in a down market, even though that we see the market is just really kind of crapping out a little bit, people saw it coming. It's here. We don't know how long it's going to last, but the market is down. That does not mean that it's time to sell off everything and to hide away in a bunker and wait for the end of the world. What it does is now it opens up the possibilities to find these mega trends to spot and to say, okay, once we start rebounding out of this mega trend is going to take hold, and these stocks are going to light up like wildfire and produce these massive amounts of gains. And the reason why we're talking about that is because we have been, in the background with Adam and Charles, myself, and our entire team, we have been working on that exact thing. We've been working on exactly a way to find those catalysts and the right time of when to start buying in to say, okay, from this point on, now you're going to start seeing monumental gains, and we've got it, and we're going to release that out to the public here in the coming weeks. And we want to give you an opportunity to jump in and learn more about it and to give it a shot for yourself. So what we're going to do is we're going to put up a little tag up at the top here where you can click and find out more information about what we've developed, what Adam has spent, and Adam has spent hours and hours and hours on this. This has not been an easy process, but he's got it, and it's down, and he's explained it to us, and it's solid. And we want to give you an opportunity to learn more about that. So we're going to put up a link. You can find out more about it, find out more about what Adam's been working on, what it has the potential to yield for you, and how you can benefit from it. And we want to do that for you. We'll put that up top. But Charles, again, I think the message is pretty clear. There are ways to make money in a bear market. It may not necessarily be as the bear is growling, but certainly if you find the right time and the right mega trend, it'll be certainly after the bear has gone back to hibernation.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, use the bear market as an opportunity to identify what you're going to buy for the next big boom. Like, that's it. It gives you that pause to basically do your homework, do your research there and get together the pieces for the next big move.
So don't be panicked. Don't be frightened. Don't look at your portfolio every day. Just take a breath. If you're part of the money markets family or Green Zone Fortunes family or both, then understand that Adam, Charles, myself, our entire team, we're watching out for you. We've got your back. We're going to help you through it. If you're not part of our team, we encourage you to do that. Hop on to Money and Markets, sign up for our e-letter. We have Stock Power Daily, which we've now come out with, where I give you a stock a day to look at for your portfolio, whether the market's up or down. But become a part of that and you let us help you. We'll guide you through it. We're not gonna, force it on you and anything like that, but we're going to guide you. We're going to give you a system to follow, and one that if you follow, we know is going to make you profits, whether you're in a bear market or in a bull market. So, any parting shots, Charles, before we let everyone go?
No, I think you nailed it. This is it. We're looking for the next big opportunity. It's scary right now, but that's okay. We're using this scariness to look for that next big thing.
That's right. We're not panicking. We're not worrying. We're not pulling our hair out. I mean, I know my hair is a little shorter, but that's because I had it cut and it was getting out of control. But it wasn't because I was pulling it out because I was looking at a portfolio or our stocks or anything like that. And Charles is right. This is our opportunity to find the next opportunity for you and find the next way to spot those opportunities for profit in your portfolio. He is Charles Sizemore. He is the co-editor of Green Zone Fortunes. If you do have a comment or a question for Charles, Adam, myself, or any member of our team, email us. You can email us at feedback@moneyandmarkets.com. We'll flash that right down below, or you can comment below on any of our videos on YouTube. We'd love to do that. Love to see what you have to say. Maybe you've been following the system. You've done well. Maybe you've got a question about the broader market, or maybe a particular stock you'd like us to take a look at for you. Do so. Email us, feedback@moneyandmarkets.com, or drop a comment down below. Check out moneyandmarkets.com. Take advantage of our proprietary stock power rating system. If you go to moneyandmarkets.com, in the top right-hand corner of the website, you'll see a little search box. Type in any ticker or any company name, and you can search. We have thousands of stocks that we give ratings for. We base it on 6 different metrics, 3 fundamental, 3 price-based. You'll be able to pull up the overall rating and the breakdown of metric ratings for each of those thousands of stocks. Plus, you'll be able to get a stock chart, technical data, fundamental data, any analysis we've written on any of these individual companies. We've got a lot out there, and you can do all that for free at moneyandmarkets.com. Definitely encourage you to do that. So, Charles, appreciate your time. Look forward to doing it again next week. Enjoy the holiday weekend. Hope you are going to barbecue or whatever you plan to do, and also bear in remembrance all those who have given us the opportunity to enjoy what we have here. We definitely appreciate that sacrifice and moving on. And just look forward to doing it again next week. And until then, I'm Matt Clark. I'm the research analyst for Money Markets. Again, he's Charles Sizemore. He's co-editor of Green Zone Fortunes. Until next time, everyone, safe trading.